ready to go, bro?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. What's going on, y'all? Your boy June Archer here, the Winner's Circle. This is 50.com. My guest today, you've seen him. You may not like him. You may love him, depending on your perspective every week when you watch him on Stars. But my guy, Shane Johnson, a.k.a. Cooper Saxe, is here to talk about Power Book 2 Ghost. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. And they love me. They may not know it.
You sure?
I'm growing on them.
After last week, you're sure?
You wait.
Okay,
I'm growing.
right.
It takes most people about 10 years before they get it. You know, about 10 years deep, then people are like, he's all right.
You're growing on us. You're growing on us.
How it was with my family. How it was with my family. They first 10 years of life, they're like, this kid is messed up, and then then they start liking me. Well, same with the audience.
Same with the audience. I want to go back to the end of last season.
Yeah.
Cooper Saxe. Would he have shot Ghost if he had the opportunity to take that shot?
Boy, that's a tough one. I think in the state that I was in at the end of season 6, not me, but Cooper Saxe, I think he might have. There was some time in there where it was like, is he gonna shoot himself? Like, what's he doing? I was doing a lot of drinking, a lot of losing my job, a lot of losing my friends, and I blamed it. Obviously, I put all that on his doorstep.
Right.
And so, thankfully, somebody else got there first, right?
For you, preparing for that role, it takes us through a myriad of emotions, right? You talk about losing a job. You talk about, listen, I know what I saw. I know the information. I know what he is. I know what he truly is. And you want to pin everything on him. You want him to go down. But there's this good guy in Cooper Saxe, right? That we do love, but we hate the way he goes around trying to make it happen. How do you prepare for a role when you're juggling the good and the evil to try to do the right thing?
That's a great question. It's interesting. At a certain point, when you have the facts, and like I know he's guilty.
Right.
I know he's guilty of all kinds of things, right? And let's be honest, he basically was a serial killer, right? I mean, he killed how many people?
He has bodies.
He's got bodies, man. So does Tommy, right? And so I know that. I know the drugs. I know the lying. I know all the scandals he's been a part of. And to see him just like all that, just kind of he keeps just outmaneuvering me. And at a certain point, for the first like 4 seasons, I'm trying to do it within the law, and I'm trying to kind of
play by the rules.
Play by the rules.
Yeah.
You use the system for justice, right? And it just keeps evading me, and it keeps evading me. So then after a while, I'm like, well, you know what? Just a little twist of the judicial system to get this done, and that's not effective. And so then it's like you just kind of, I think this happens in life. You just go in harder.
Right.
To get, especially when you know something's right.
Try to overcompensate sometimes.
Yeah, and then I think people can find themselves doing things that they never would have done when they started off. Like as I think I really got into the business, being a lawyer for justice.
Right.
And to do good. I think most people. I don't think many lawyers go like, oh, I just want to make money, or especially somebody like this who's a public servant.
Right.
I came from money, right? So I came from money, and then Shane didn't, but Cooper Saxe came from money, and then and decided to go into the public, arena where you don't really make money. They make fun of him for not, his family makes fun of him for being broke, basically.
Right.
And so I'm about justice, and so to your point, I think by the end of season 6, it's just kind of like he's been outmaneuvered so many times, passed up so many times, and even with Angela,
right?
Watching her bend the law and sort of, and somehow win. When someone bends the law and then they win and they keep winning, and you're like, how is this person winning?
Right. It's like
again.
It's like a stab every time.
I'm playing by the rules. And it's like, hey, that's why you're losing. You're playing by the rules, man. And so eventually it's like, fine, gloves are off, you know. And that's, by the way, when he starts winning. Then he becomes the U.S. attorney, you know.
That's when he wins. But I want to go back a little bit. Cooper, we come to find out now in Power Book 2 that he comes from money. And there's a struggle right now with his brother.
Yeah.
There's his family's looking at him differently. His niece is trying to take advantage of his position of power. Like, how does that play out? We're getting ready to jump into the mid-season finale right now. But how is that going to play out for Cooper, and what are the struggles that he's going to face going into the second half of the season?
Well, I think it becomes really important that I succeed here with this case against Tasha, because what I have writing on it is my job.
One.
You know, and to the point where, again, with the bending of the rules, I get my niece involved, and of course she doesn't listen to anything I say. I'm like, just don't talk to anybody.
Right. Don't get too close.
I just want you to, you know,
observe
and just tell me what happens.
Right.
And of course she jumps right in there because she's, you know.
Is she
she's
more
a Saxe,
like,
you know,
is
she's
she
a
more
Saxe.
like is she more like an uncle, or is that just a Saxe thing?
I just think that I think it's the same thing that we're up against right now with COVID, whereas the younger generation is invincible.
Right.
They feel invincible. Oh, that doesn't apply to me. I felt like that when I was 20-something. I was like, nothing. I'm never gonna get sick. I'm never gonna get diseases. I'm
not gonna get old.
I'm not gonna get old. I'm gonna, you know, everything's just gonna go my way, and until it doesn't, you know. And so for this girl, everything's gone her way. You know, she's got herself in trouble multiple times, and I've gotten her out of it. And I've even kept her parents, her mother's,
right,
out of the picture. I've protected her like that. So we kind of have this relationship that's been going on for a while, which we haven't seen, but it's been there. And I've covered for her a few times, and now I'm kind of like asking for a favor. And I think I'm reticent to do that, but I'm so desperate,
right,
to
just get a win.
To just get a win that I'm like, she's like, oh, you're so good. What can I do anything? And I was like, actually, and I think he has to think about this. Like, are you really going to ask this? And he goes, there is something that you could do for me. Help me nail, you know. So anyway, the plot thickens, and it only gets better.
No,
I mean,
I'm
we're getting ready to film. We're filming the finale, the episode 10, right now. Not the mid-season finale, which is the next one, but episode 10, and it's like unbelievable.
So, you are one of the very few last women standing from the original cast. One, how does that feel? And two, do you miss the original cast members? Obviously, Amari, Keisha, some of the people that kind of started out in the first couple of seasons. How does it feel to be one of the longest standing people on the set?
Wow, you know, it's just been such a blessing, honestly. I mean, if I'm just being real.
Oh, you're gonna keep it real with me.
I'm gonna be real. Like, the fact that I've been doing the show now, it'll be, you know, we just got picked up for season 2, so have been playing Cooper Saxe for 8 years at that point, which is certainly the longest job I've ever had. You know, because, you know, as an actor, most of the time your jobs are you do a guest spot on a TV show. You're there for a few weeks. You do a movie for maybe a few months. And then you're back to the grind. You're back to like, what's next? And so to have something solid for 8 years, it's like,
it's a blessing.
Such a huge blessing. I mean, I've got kids, you know, like you. So I got my family and my wife and kids that I'm taking care of, and so and this is all they remember because they were little when I started.
So you've been Cooper Saxe to them for a very long time.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. They're not impressed with Dad. They're impressed with 50. They got a picture with 50, and they were like, so so blown out by 50 Cent, you know. But dad's a piece of trash.
Yeah, dad doesn't do anything right week to week. I want to talk about this though, the family piece. Your wife is an actress as well. How was that balance for you guys? Now that you've been on an 8-year run,
Yeah.
and she's home with the kids, making the magic happen, and remote learning and all that. Like, how supportive is she with what you're doing, especially for 8 years?
She is a gem, and she's a trooper because I know it's been incredibly hard on her. She recognizes too that it's a blessing to have. You know, if the shoe was on the other foot, it would be the same thing. I'd be at home, taking care of the kids and doing the at-home learning. But she takes on so much though. She's also like the president of the Parent-Teacher Association for the school.
Okay. All right.
I'm like, babe, but because everybody loves her. You know, she's just one of those people that walks in the room and people are like, who's this? You know, and so everybody goes to her for help. You know, she runs the acting studio that we're a part of too. Richard Lawson, do you know Richard Lawson?
Yep.
We help run his acting studio, and so she's involved with that. So everybody goes to her. So her career, you know, gets tricky when I'm here. And so truth is I feel bad about that, but at the same time, it's like, that's where we're at, you know? And so, you know, I look forward to seeing her get more opportunities and get back out there, because she's had some big roles in some great movies. Malibu's Most Wanted, notably.
Saw that, yeah.
Pain and Gain.
Okay.
She was in. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
With The Rock and
So
Anthony
now I gotta go back
Mackie
and watch
and
that.
Mark Wahlberg, Keely Lefkowitz. Keely Lefkowitz is my wife. Nobody's gonna be able to repeat that. What?
No, because it's spelled really nice. Like it's different. I love.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it.
She's
I like
she's
it.
great. She's beautiful. She's funny. She's, you know, so she's my rock for sure. And you know, the other thing is if we had known that this was gonna be 8 years, we probably would have just moved out here.
Right.
But because you're year to year, you know, you're kind of like, I don't know what's happening. And so to answer your other question though, dodging bullets essentially for 8 seasons too has been wild.
And you almost lost you. You almost killed yourself, and someone almost killed you.
Yeah.
So I mean, that dodging bullets is definitely the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. At the end of each season, you're like, am I coming back? Am I right? And I ask you this then. Here's a great point for people that are watching, who are aspiring actors or just wanting to do anything in the creative space. You've had spots here and there, CSI. You've had stuff that you did with video games. What is the best piece of advice you could give someone now that you have 8 seasons? Because that doesn't always happen, right? What is the best piece of advice you could give someone who is wanting to get into the business, who's finding that doors are being closed or obstacles, that they can kind of get some sort of, hey, there's some light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, here's the advice I would give: is if you're passionate about the craft of acting, if this is really if that's who you are, then don't let anything stop you, and go and study, you know, work on your craft, and you have to know how you are on tape. You got to put yourself on tape. You got to, you know, because that's how we're judged now. I mean, even the auditions pretty much are self-tapes now.
Yep.
You know, and so you have to understand your relationship with the camera, and to the point where you're a tool, not like you're, hey, that guy's a tool, but that you're you know, a product. You can't worry about the way you look. You just have to know that whatever you are, whoever you are, that's your casting. Like I look the way I look.
Right.
I got wrinkles. I've got this receding hairline situation, and it's like, roll with it, man. That's
Right.
what you have. That's what you have. Own it, and don't shy away from it. And it's hard. It's hard, but that's your product. And then working on your craft, and then not letting anything stop you. And what we were talking about earlier before we started this is also, I think, very relevant, which is you have to have people in your corner that support you, that get that you're in it for the long haul, and that there are going to be bumps and bruises along the way. Like, it's not always going to be, you know, a series of wins.
Right.
There are times when I mean, listen, I started when I was still in college is when I got my first movie. I did Saving Private Ryan when I was still like a junior in college. That was amazing. And I was like, oh, Spielberg. I'm working with Spielberg.
Right.
Right.
You were on the beach, right? You just on the beach. You one of the soldiers in that.
No, I was there for 3 weeks. We shot it in Ireland, and I'm like one of the dudes. I'm the guy that when Tom Hanks is when he first storms the beach and the sound is vacuumed out and it goes into slow-mo. I'm the guy that like shakes him out of that. I'm like 5 years old, you know. I mean, I look like I'm 5 years old, and was strangely the cleanest guy on the beach. Everyone else is covered in mud, but I was like, you know, pristine, like I just brushed my teeth and stuff. But that was an incredible experience. But then I moved to LA a year and a half later after I finished school, and then it's real. And then you're in the grind, and then you're trying to get an agent, and I'm thinking like, oh, I'm some big shot, because I'm from a little farm town, right? So you're a big fish in a small pond.
Right.
Nobody else wanted to be an actor. Nobody else, and so I thought I was a big deal. And then you go to LA and you're like, dude, there are 1,000 people just like you.
Right.
1,000 people just like you.
Facts.
But here's the thing. That's when I'm 22, when I first show up. There are 1,000 people just like me. And you thinking like, oh, I'm a good actor, I'm good looking, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna knock their socks off, and it's like, that's how everybody else thinks too. But the difference is, 5 years later, you'll work, you'll get some breaks, maybe you get lucky and you blow up and you're on a show, or you get some big movie, but most of us, that doesn't happen.
Right.
Most of us, you keep doing the work, you keep putting in the reps, showing up at the gym, and then you get a break. And then you think like, oh, this is the thing that's gonna send me to the top. And it's not. It's not. For a minute, and then you're back in the grind. 5 years in, those 1,000 people that showed up have dwindled to about 200.
Percentage.
Because they just leave. They're like, they weren't really in it for the long haul. A few years later, that 200 is now 100. And now when I show up in the office, it's like there's 15 guys. And we're all journeymen. We all have been at it for 20 years. And you keep doing it. And so if you need it, if that's how you're built, then don't let anything stop you. And if you're not built like that, and if you can't put in the time and be willing to eat some top ramen for a while and live in a shitty apartment for a minute, then don't do it. Unless you come from money, in which case if you have money,
if you're Cooper Saxe,
if you have money to grease the tracks, things. But here's the other thing I'll tell you about that though. A lot of times the people that have money, it greases the tracks in terms of it gives them food and a place to stay, but it also makes them comfortable.
Right.
And that hunger.
There's not much hunger there.
That hunger is hard to come by if you're blessed already.
Because there's a plan B. There's a mattress of comfort waiting for you in the event that you fail.
I'm
or
always
want to give up.
I'm always impressed by the people that are blessed and then also succeed on their own. Like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, right?
Oh, amazing.
She's worth like $2 billion.
Under the radar, like you would never.
Under
know.
the radar.
You never
Has
know.
nothing to do with her acting. Like not acting money. She didn't need to act. She's worth $2 billion. And yet she has one of the most incredible careers of anybody, because she was born an artist and needed it, and it had nothing to do with it. For her, it can't be about the money.
Right.
She's never going to make $2 billion as an actress.
Right. But she put the work in, though.
But she loves the work. She loves the work, and that's kind of where I'm at. I love the work. I love, taking what is given to me on the page and finding the nuance of it, and finding like the relationships, and trying to dig deeper and make something out of whatever I'm given, as opposed to just come in and say my stuff and leave. Like I try to really analyze every aspect of it so that it has some richness to it,
You had the opportunity to work with some great actors in the first couple of years. Now that you're on to Power Book 2, and we now see there's a younger generation of actors that are acting in, and it's for their generation. We have some millennials. How does it feel to be one of the older statesmen amongst these young people? What is the energy like on set?
Well, that's definitely true. There is a little bit of a, which is kind of true in Power too, in a different way. It wasn't about age as much as it was about, there was Ghost's world, and then there was kind of the legal world. And then there was like Ghost's family and Tommy's family, right? So they had these different worlds that they didn't really intersect very often.
Right.
And so I haven't really intersected much with the younger generation on set. I mean, you know, in terms of work. Yet, but having them around, I think, is like an injection of fuel to the whole thing. Like, I think it adds such a great dynamic to the whole vibe and the energy on set. They're excited. They're at the beginning of their journey. I think Michael Rainey's handling it great, being number one on the sheet. And, and I think that as an actor, I think he's really tuned it up. You know, and I think it was timing wise, I think it was perfect too, because he went from everybody wanting to hit him with the back of their hands, you know, like, me too. I was like, Tariq's getting a spinoff. Like, I want to hit that kid, not punch him. I want to backhand him. You know, like, you just want to leave knuckles across. Like, that's what you want to do.
Right.
And like, I remember I think it was Joe. Not Joe Sikora, that Vinny, who played Vinny.
Yeah.
That beat him up with oranges or something like that, a bag of oranges. Remember, he beat up Tariq?
Yeah.
And everyone, people at home were just like,
yes, it's about time.
Yeah.
Somebody got to him.
But I think he's doing great, and I think that, and on the other side of that, so that's something that I really admire, and I think is a great infusion of energy and youth into the show. And then bringing in Mary and Method as well and then obviously we have Naturi, and others. We got some great guys, you know. Mark Feuerstein's great, and Sung Kang is in there a bit, and he's great, and one of my close friends, and so is Mark. But Method is like a breath of fresh air.
How was that interaction? Because you guys kind of go at it past couple of episodes, and we feel like there's going to be some tension for a while until we get to the bottom of this Tasha thing. How is that energy when you guys are on set?
You know, it's funny because I think that we have, I think we have a great sort of chemistry on set, on camera. You know what I mean? As being these kind of like different breeds of alpha that don't quite know how to. It's kind of like if you had a lion and like a buffalo, and they're both alphas, you know, and they don't quite know how to deal with each other. And I think that that's where we are. That's a weird analogy, but it's just basically like we're from different.
I was trying to figure out where he was going with that one, but I follow you.
I'm just saying that we're both alphas, but we're from different walks of life, and we have different trajectories in terms of where we're headed. And so, but we both want to win desperately. Like he's never lost.
Right.
He's never lost, and strangely, I've never won. And so, but working with Method is like, he's just such a great energy. He shows up. He's like eager. He's like spitting rhymes. He's like, you know, positive. He remembers everybody's name. He's like, you know, people. He brings like a nice energy to the set, and which is funny because I wouldn't necessarily guess that from what I know of him. I wouldn't think that he was that kind of dude, but he is. He's fun, and so we have a great time, and I think that it shows on camera that we are. We both. I think we have a lot of respect for each other, and you're right. We lock horns. You know, continue to lock horns as things progress and get more heated, and work different angles, and and I love where it goes. It gets messy.
All right, I've been playing this game called University of Dope. It's a little hip hop trivia. So as we're talking about Method Man, can you name all the members of Wu-Tang Clan?
Oh, hell no. Hell no. No way.
You give it a shot?
No, I can't. I mean, no, I couldn't even begin. I mean, to be honest, like I dove down the Method Man, Redman rabbit hole once he came on the show with me. Then I was like, oh yeah, right. And then that's when I kind of like have been going through the discography and all that,
right,
and getting schooled up. But no, Wu-Tang Clan, no.
Nah.
There was a cool meme of this. Somebody was like, because I said something about being one of the founding members of the Wu-Tang Clan in season 6, and so then somebody made me up like. I mean, it was pretty funny, but. Who are they? You know them, obviously.
But I'm not the one here. So to talk about that. So I'm gonna ask you a couple of things here, and I want to see.
Don't ask me a bunch of hip hop stuff because I'm gonna be in trouble.
Are you? Come on. All right. So we're gonna put Cooper Saxe on this, man. We have to do this. I just got to try it and see what we come up with. If you had to get rid of one person in hip hop, who would it be? Would it be Jay-Z, Tupac, Nas, or the Notorious B.I.G.?
Wow. Can I say Tekashi?
I'm gonna let you off the hook. Because
I say Tekashi.
You may be a better dancer than you are a hip hop enthusiast. So, how's your dancing game? Because you on IG dancing and doing all these things. I'm gonna have to test your dancing acumen, see how you do. But we'll talk about that off camera because I want to see he's dancing and just. I don't know if that was Cooper Saxe dancing or if that was Shane Johnson. So we're gonna get to that in a second. For you, how have you grown as an actor? You teach a lot of stuff. You talk about the studio with your wife and yourself. How have you grown as an actor since you've been doing Power?
Well, I think that my confidence and my trust in what I'm doing has grown exponentially. I've always been really a passionate artist. I love writing, reading. I have no interest in directing. A lot of actors are like, oh, I want to direct, and I really don't want to direct. There's a whole lot of stuff involved in that I'm not interested in. But I love the craft of acting very deeply, and I study it. I've been studying since I was 14. I've been taking, and that's 30 years. It's like to me, like I say, it's like going to the gym and putting in reps.
Right.
You have to train. Some people don't. Like Jimmy Stewart never went to an acting class, and I'm like, well, that's Jimmy Stewart. But I like to kind of analyze things and get deeper. And like I said, make something sometimes out of nothing.
Right.
I think one of the reasons I'm still around is because early on, season 1, I would take sometimes a line or 2 lines or a little scene and turn it into something that it probably was never meant to be. And that to me is craft.
All right.
And I think you don't want to be. It's weird, but it's the same in life though. You got to find a way to make an impression.
Right.
I don't even know if I'm answering your question.
No, you are. You're good. But I'm gonna ask you this then, because I think that's a great segue to this. Who are your top 5 actors that you look at and you say, you know what? That's where I want to be in my craft.
There was a time when I first got into acting that it was like Malkovich, De Niro, Pacino, guys like that. But now, I mean, even though I hear that he's maybe not the easiest person to work with, Ed Norton is a fantastic actor. Yeah. He's just a great actor. And Heath Ledger was a great actor. I mean, Denzel is top of the game. You know, he makes it look easy. I don't even know. I mean, he probably studied. I don't really know his history, but as an actor, he's just like, oh, always present, so present. And then you know, for our generation, for even younger than, I mean, like Shia LaBeouf, that guy might be crazy, but he turns it in when he puts out a product. It's like, man, he turns it in, and which is cool actually. It's interesting because when you're young, you always kind of look at people that are older than you are to kind of admire and to
get inspiration,
model yourself after,
right,
or to strive toward, and now I feel like it's easier to be a connoisseur of storytelling, and storytelling has changed so drastically. Like, look at all the superhero stuff that we're doing now. That's twisted and weird and not like it used to just be Superman and and Spider-Man, like normal stuff, and now we've got like The Boys. We've got like
out there now.
Suicide Squad, even like just look at the Batman and how that's changed. It used to be like bubblegum.
It's progressed a lot over the years.
It's so dark. And I don't know if you've seen the previews for the new one with Robert Pattinson.
No.
That stuff is, you should check it out.
Really? Okay.
It's just as dark. It's just gotten so dark. But we're, our culture's gotten that way. Things are, people want to kill people.
Yeah. Well,
they want to see pain.
We're not going to talk politics, so we have to do better. We have to figure it out. If there were another franchise that you would love to be a part of, now that you have been doing Power for 8 years, if there was another franchise, what would it have been?
TV show or
TV show
film?
Or film?
I mean, as a financially, to be a part of the Avengers. That stuff would have been like incredible. Artistically, I mean, I'm gonna sort of out myself here and say that I like action movies.
Okay. All right.
And I know that a lot of them are cheesy. We're talking like Schwarzenegger and Stallone and things like that. But I would love to do.
Van Damme. No,
no, seriously, man.
Van Damme was.
I love that stuff. Now, usually the thing that you give up with action movies is the quality of the acting. Usually, not always, but I would love to do action movies that are like real, like the action is on point. But that also you don't have to have Van Damme,
right,
doing the acting, or like Dolph Lundgren or something. And I love those guys. Though I eat that stuff like candy. But like, come on, you know what I mean? Those are. I mean, in no disrespect, because I love him. I'm a huge fan of The Rock, but we've put up with The Rock being a subpar actor for a long time, right? Yeah. And he's this most successful actor on earth. The action movies. Imagine if he were just like the dopest actor as well. That would be so. That would be like, he'd be unstoppable. I mean, he's unstoppable now. Like, he got COVID and he's like, hold on a second. Test me again. They're like, negative.
Crazy. Shane, music is a soundtrack to our lives, man. And I want to ask you, what is a song or artist that best represents your journey up to this point?
Miley Cyrus. The Climb by Miley Cyrus. I'm joking. But kind of. That's actually a pretty good one, because it's about basically overcoming barriers and climbing the mountain to get to the other side. Most of the music I listen to is hip hop. My favorite singer was Chris Cornell, who passed a few years ago. And he just like, you know who he is?
Yeah, he left an imprint.
Yeah, I mean, with Soundgarden, Temple of the Dog, Audio Slave, etc. He was just like Black Hole Sun, and I mean he was in his voice. He could do anything he wanted with his voice, which I always really admired, that he could just he could see something and just hit it. And but the other thing is obviously there's potentially some darkness there too, you know, which is unfortunate. But when I have to stop myself from playing Chris Cornell. Meaning that it drives my wife nuts. She's like, "Can we listen to something else, please?"
Oh,
but he's
man.
also really prolific. I mean, you can go in pretty deep with his, and he kind of covered a lot of different genres. He did an incredible version of Billie Jean.
Didn't hear that one.
Oh.
So I'm going to go back. I'm going to do my homework now.
Yeah, so an incredible version of Billie Jean. Imagine from the Beatles. He did "I Will Always Love You" or whatever that song is that Whitney Houston killed.
Dolly Parton.
Yeah, Dolly Parton. "Nothing Compares to You," which was actually a Prince joint.
Prince record, yeah. Some
That
incredible
Sinead
work.
blew up. But so Chris Cornell is like is my guy. But to get me that's just like moody shit.
Right.
To the stuff that gets me hyped is hip hop.
So you have the opportunity to work with the great Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. How is that working with him on Power, especially over this 8-year run?
Yeah, well, the thing with where I've come to with 50 is that there is, I think that it's hard to express, because first of all, he's my boss, right?
Right.
And I'm only sitting here because of 50, obviously, and but the respect that I have gained for him as an actor, as a producer, but also like most impressive to me is the entrepreneurial stuff that he's just. That's the thing I've learned the most from working with 50, is that he is constantly diversifying and seeing and then seizing on opportunities, and it pisses me off, because I'm like, why don't I do that more? Why don't I seize on, like, whether it's a relationship or an opportunity or something something that I'm passionate about. Like, I've been reading his book, and he's so open.
Yeah.
And he kind of just lays it out.
It's a lot of gems in that book.
It really is.
A lot of gems.
And it's like applicable. It's like, and I like that kind of stuff anyway. That stuff that's like, get off your ass and get shit done. But so he's just been really inspiring to me, and he's down to earth. He's cool. He's like, not necessarily what you'd expect in terms of if you just were like basing it off of his music or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We've lost a lot of people in Power, in terms of actors,
A lot, yeah.
who've gotten killed. If there's one person you could bring back from a previous season, who would it be?
Wow, picking one is hard. Picking one would be hard. I would have to say, I'd have to go back probably to my buddy Andy Bean, who played Greg Knox.
Knox was the guy.
They did him dirty. They did him dirty. And then, and I'm great friends with Andy. I'm also great friends with David Fumero, who played Mike Sandoval, but he was dirty.
Sandoval
So that was a
dirty as
little,
well.
so it was kind of like, so yeah, I would probably say, and the other thing is that Greg Knox, he was on it. First of all, he had a thing for Angela, right? But he also, he cracked open the whole thing. He saw the whole thing, which is why he had to go.
Right. Had to go.
He had to go. He knew too much. But so yeah, I would say that. But you're right. I saw a photo today that 50 posted today. It was kind of like for the People's Choice Awards. It was sort of like, hey, you go vote for us because we're up for that, so go vote for that. But but it showed a picture of like a lot of the cast, and I was like, well, he's alive and she's alive. That's about it. That's about it. Yeah, we've had some killer actors too. Luis Ramos came through, who played, or was it? He played Vibor Ruiz.
Right.
Terrific actor.
So safe to say you wouldn't bring Ghost back, or Angela.
I thought about that. Ghost was the thing that sucked for Cooper Saxe about having Ghost die is that was his white whale.
Right.
You know, that was like, I'm gonna bring this thing in, no matter what. I'll die to bring this thing in, and then the whale dies in front of you, and you're like, fuck. I spent my whole life trying to get this whale, and now the whale's dead. And then you try to blame the whale for stuff, and the whale's like, I'm dead. What you gonna do? So, and Angela, I love Leela, and I love Omari too, but I love Leela, but she turned me down. I went in and I
Try to shoot your shot.
Yeah, and granted, I didn't have good timing on it, but when you go in, I mean, her boyfriend had just died,
Right.
and I was trying to help her grieve.
Timing is everything.
I was trying to help her grieve with a little D, you know, and she refused me, and so yeah, of course, now she's got to go.
Shane Johnson here, Mr. Cooper Saxe himself. This is 50.com. I'm your host, June Archer. Thank y'all.